Man, thanks for meeting with me today.
Yeah, yeah. How's everything going besides what you were saying?
It's going pretty good. It's going really pretty good. I've got a big closing on a property that's been trying to sell this property for a few months, and there's anyway I had to put a new roof on this property, and uh, obviously that's very expensive, and so uh, you know, but it's I'm glad that we're getting closure on that.
Yeah, that's good. That's good. Yeah. Yeah, we've had a bunch of stuff pop up lately, programming wise and stuff like that. That I believe will be of benefit today. Fine, like we were talking about last time, different programming types and everything. Found several more types of underlying junk that's out there. So.
Now, when you say you've been having some problems or some issues with some programming, are you talking about friends, clients, family, or you and Joanne, or all of the above, or
All of the above, actually. It seems anything we discover with ourselves, we end up being able to correct with other people.
that's
Uh,
awesome.
yeah, and that's why it comes up. Like different rogue thought forms are things that have come up from like our backstage activities, that like SSP activities and stuff like that. Stuff that was latent and thrown in there, kind of like booby traps. Like if we would ever get past a certain vibrational stage, like a different one would kick in, and they've been rather annoying because it's basically you fighting you at that point, and it's really obnoxious where you have to actually disassemble the programming once it's discovered. It actually starts to kind of decompile, kind of like a computer program. Once it's acknowledged as a program, it basically disintegrates.
Are these self-imposed programs?
In some cases, but in areas where I've forgotten that I accepted that influence or accepted that, like in an abduction case or in a case where my memory was wiped, but yet the programming still remained. Um, yeah, that's what I discovered anyway. It's very strange. It's very they can be very hostile towards you, and that's where some demon types come from. They're born of rogue thought forms. So it's basically like if I were to revoke or audit any of like anything, these things would be like a contrary and basically arm wrestle back and then undo everything that I've done, and I wouldn't have known it, or it would draw in other like creatures to me or something like that. Basically, kind of like waving the red flag for a bull. It was basically doing that. Hmm.
Wow. This is actually kind of a new idea to me. And I've heard different names for this. Larvae is one, and but rogue thought forms. But the idea that some of these, sometimes what's ailing people is actually an entity that they've actually somehow created themselves. Is that what you're talking about?
Yes, yeah, and that's actually it's actually I would have to say it's fairly common in some cases, especially those that have done government work and have been in the cabal circles and also do psychic work and all this other stuff. Sometimes these thought forms are put in as booby traps that will give either false information or how can I put it? It will make people think it's an external entity where it was actually an external entity that shoved the programming in there to begin with, and then you have to deal with disassembling this like piece by piece, like basically almost like terabyte by terabyte, like a computer. And it's actually fairly obnoxious. We ran into one not too long ago that I managed to get on a recording. Managed to get audio wise on a recording. Um, Basically the same voices I hear all the time that are trying to taunt me from both the external AI and trying to trigger internal programming. I managed to actually get confirmations to that in recordings.
Wow. So, in other words, a recording that I could listen to, and I would hear it as well.
Yeah, I could tell you what time codes this thing's on. I didn't label the words per se, but it was because we were all talking, on Zoom. We were doing a round table, and we were mentioning certain certain things. Like I could, well, actually, I don't have the time codes at the moment,
Oh,
but
okay.
I can.
I'll get them from you
When
later.
Yeah, when I upload that, I'll listen through again and peg what was said at certain times. Basically, basically the internal program was conjuring this external um, this external programming, and it was basically volleying back and forth. One created the other, which creates the other, and it was really it was this paradoxical type loop that was taking place.
Okay, so this begets a question. Based on this information that you've just given us, is it possible that one of these internal programs that was placed in us by something or someone else, but yet we're flowering and growing, or we're painting the picture or whatever, we're adding to it? Is it possible
Hmm.
that you said that one of these programs can contact outside entities and stuff? Is it possible that one of these programs could somehow attract a person, another person who is like maybe delusional?
Yes, most definitely. Most definitely. Basic laws of attraction, because see, the universe still recognizes it as you. So basically, it's going to attract something that is of that like piece or like you as a whole. And it's going to count those programmed fragments as well that you don't even know about. It's going to count parts of those yourself that you don't even know.
Wow.
Uh, yeah. Yeah, and I came to find that out very recently. I'm thinking, God, what the hell is doing some of this stuff? And I had to basically break down these different thought forms, and then I was told some of them were placed in as booby traps, just in case I got to a certain vibration these people couldn't control. They would start this programming would start attracting all this junk from the outside, and that's what I picked up when I saw your email. I picked up immediately you were under that same thing. Uh,
Yeah. Yeah, I think so. I think I might have attracted someone, that, in other words, I believe I've been extraordinarily lucky to have some really good and powerful psychics, really three, in my life at different times within the last year. Of course, you being one of them, or definitely. But now it happened where I got someone who it turned out. I'm not so certain that I think that they feel like they're genuine. I definitely feel like that, and I've just gone back and forth. At first, I was thinking, "Wow, this person is amazing," but I had to go back and look at the information that I gave them to go on. You know what I mean?
hmm
And so and the worst part about that is by seeing that and seeing how that I was possibly or more than likely in error. I'm still not 100%, had passed a judgment on that, making me doubt stuff that I've heard from genuine people. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah, and that's part of the program too. You'll start to doubt and become skeptical of genuine synchronicities and genuine things, and that happened to me as well. Where I began to doubt certain things around me, even people around me, and that was part of that trying to get me back on what I call script, back on script, what these beings wanted, and not myself or
Mm-hmm.
any of the loved ones around me. So that we've had to fight continuously because there's been onion layer after onion layer of these programs. But yeah, I'm definitely seeing. And usually inhabits between the chest area and up to here. We notice there's this programming like fragment that is right in this area, and yeah, it's weird.
That's fascinating because I've been told that's where my problem is right here, in this.
Yeah, and I can even see it. I can even see the programming itself. It looks almost like computer fragments to me. Like if you were looking, in the movie The Matrix with the lettering that moved up
Mm-hmm.
and down. That's what it looks like to me, but white and white and silver color. And yeah, I'm looking at it right now, and this looks to be. I'm going to see what this program is actually what it was designed to do here. What if it's Oh, okay, okay. Yeah, it's the same as myself. It's a very similar situation here where it's basically getting you to try to get you back into or attract you to this lifestyle. Like when we were talking, when you went to Moab, Utah, when they were trying to get you to watch that movie,
Yes.
uh, that was that they were trying to reaffirm this to try to they were trying to reaffirm that, but your intuitive side and your vibration was as such to where you went, wait a minute, you questioned it, which you should have. And in this case, it's similar with you and A and these other people that she's involved with are trying to reactivate this program and trying to birth another you or birth another thought form that would eventually become like a dominant thought form and become you completely. That's what I'm seeing.
How do I
But
defeat that?
basically, when you know that there's something pulling you towards that, you revoke its control. You basically go, okay, actually, we'll just do this right now because I'm still looking
Yeah,
at this
let's do
program.
that.
Do you revoke this foreign program, any foreign programming that is not for your highest good in all dimensions, expressions, timelines, and any other expression harmful to your current present self?
I wholeheartedly and firmly revoke that. At this very moment, I revoke.
All right. Okay, and then do you? Let's see. Oh, somebody's trying to mess with me now, trying to help you because I can feel my thoughts being messed with. And also, the network is kind of shoddy as well here. So, okay, that just proves it to me. Okay.
Yeah, and it does to me too. And I can almost know who's behind it, but they have very they're like almost like hackers for the government. Not that they even need to be that,
Mm-hmm.
because we know the spirits work through these waves and stuff like that. But yeah, that kind of confirms I am being actively messed with, aren't I?
Mm-hmm. Oh yeah, most definitely. And I can see that programming disassembling, but there's one behind it too.
Yeah.
And it's in this, and there's at least five other layers behind it. They're smaller. They kind of go in a conical shape backwards through your heart space and through your vocal cords here. And there's a booby trap in there that's set up in your immune system to where if it's kind of like a bomb that has the red wire and blue wire, like cutting one could explode it, cutting another could stop it. Um, let's see. Okay, I'm going to disassemble that one first because that's the health related one. Yeah, and they became visible. Oh, okay. Guides are telling me. Do you now, at this current moment, audit your current present self
Yes, I audit my current present self.
and audit your genetic memory and your energy core?
I audit my genetic memory and my memory core.
Okay, there we go. That lit up on me. There we go. I see the fact that you're acknowledging these things are there. They're starting to disassemble on their own. That's a form of. It can become a form of cognitive dissonance. Once the cognitive dissonance is recognized as something that is real and is affecting you, it starts to disintegrate automatically.
All right.
Um, and I'm noticing all but one are disappearing. There's one left here. And what is this one that it looks to be on the right side of your chest? And I'm going to see if this is an attachment or programming because I'm seeing new numbers and such going through the. Oh, okay. This is something I just worked on with a friend of mine the other night. Now, there's such a thing as what's known as base codes and soul codes. And what happened was recently, the three house system out there collapsed. The E, M, and universal constant collapsed because humans down here on Earth wanted such a change out there in the cosmos. They on any level. This shows what a unity consciousness can do. People wanted change so badly they affected out there, and the three house system that we knew of as like the Trinity is gone.
Wow.
Yeah, and it's a straight shot to pure source, and at the moment,
Wow.
and I'm seeing the soul codes and base codes are slightly misaligned in you. I can see a lens that's slightly misaligned. This will increase your vibration once this is aligned properly.
Okay.
And so at this moment, do you realign what is known or ask that benevolent guides help with realigning your soul codes and your base codes for this expression?
I hereby ask my benevolent guides to realign my base codes, and my soul codes.
There we go. There we go. Oh, yeah, there we are. I just saw the lens start to realign itself. Ooh. Yeah, I felt this like wave come off of you. It's just like this shock wave come off of you. Now I can actually see all your chakras in alignment. That's fantastic. All right.
Wow, that's great. I feel better
Yeah.
just hearing you say that. Which probably means I feel better on another level. It's just hearing your voice tell me that is helping me.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you. Yeah, and I felt this like wave just come off of you through the screener. This is what they were trying to prevent because they were trying to keep you on script to what they programmed you as. And now I'm asking if there are any other programs. One? All right. Let's see. Where is this one located? No, it looks like the back of the brain, actually. What is that? Let's see. Is this where a thought form is hiding, Isaac? Yes. Did it move once we started to do the audit? Okay, yeah, it's disintegrating. Yes, but what has to be acknowledged to completely disintegrate this? Hmm? The separation of what? Ah, okay. Interesting. This is very this is I'm gonna have to break this down. They're giving this to me in quantum language here a little bit. The separation of what was that? Can you repeat that, Isaac? Separation of threats against you. Like you separate from the idea of being targeted. Is that what, Isaac? Yes. Yes, even though that is a truth, there is like this bit of programming was almost like a bullseye or like a set of malware, let's say, that is targeting your IP address, if you want to think of it that way. Yeah. Yeah. Uh, and let's see. Okay, now it's disintegrating. I'm gonna pull this out and see what else it entails. I'm gonna see who placed it in there. Let's see. See what its codes tell me here. Oh, you're trying to evade me. You're actually alive. Let's see. I'm gonna bring in source energy to confine this. Let's see. Oh, you're cursing at me. All right. You actually were a sentient program. All right. So, all right. Let's see. Yeah. All right. It looks like this was triggered with some kind of device though. Through your computers and phone.
Christopher, I can't believe how synchronistic this is that you're telling me. I want to give you this information because this directly to it. First of all, the man that we've talked about that I had maybe suspected, was targeting me, and now I seem to think that your guy is telling me yes, he is, but kind of don't worry about that. I'm not sure. But he is in charge of a company, and I'm not going to say the name here on the air, but it's two words, and the second word is coders. And it's kind of synchronistic that you've been saying that, but also, but I have been. It's only happened to me 3 times, but it's happened to this other person like a dozen probably. I'm searching something totally unrelated, and if it's a place that has a place for an ad banner, an ad for this man's company will show up there.
This is a bioform type AI that is doing this. It's the same one that left the recordings and what I just told you about. Oh, confirmation. Thank you.
What recordings?
Confirmation.
What recordings?
The recordings that I spoke about that we did with some friends of ours.
Okay.
And it appeared in it's the same sentient emotional AI. This is an emotional one that has like a fire behind it. It's not like a typical logical computer. This is different than any of the binary network that I've dealt with. But this is confirmation. Yeah, this is what is Okay, they're telling me, the guides are telling me this is what stalks people on behalf of what? Intention of intention of Oh, got you. Got it. The programming that was placed in you and the intention of the stalkers, which would be this other man and his group. Uh, it's based on the intentions. It was basically, oh, I understand. This was created as a rogue thought form that went out of control, and it turned into like a demonic computer consciousness after a while. Uh, and it started out as an intention.
But
Uh,
but they can sick it on people like a dog. They can sick it like go attack this person, go attack that person.
yes, yes, they can sick it on people, but these humans think they're in control, but it was aliens that created it
Of course,
originally.
of course.
Yeah, here we go. There we are. That I'm getting complete confirmation to that. Now, when I get the goosebumps all over the place and up my spine, that usually tells me I'm dead on. So, uh, and I'm seeing if these people know that they're doing it. Ah, yes, yeah, they do. They do know they're doing it.
They
Um,
know those people as people know who I am.
hmm
Okay.
Yes, yes, they do. Just like they know who I am. You know, you
Yeah, of course.
basically are getting hit with the same crap that I do.
Hmm.
So, because you have the same capability range, I'm being told. So,
Wow. You mean like I'm psychic too?
yes, most definitely.
Wow.
You have the same ability range.
That I've
I
just
do.
chosen to ignore mine or something like that?
Part of your, they're telling me it's a part of cover. Like you came in, it's part of your cover to basically, I'll use the word ascend out of their vibration, but not actually actively, remote view these
Hmm.
people or actively do those types of things. But I feel like, uh, whew, no wonder they want you back in their circles. You have an innate ability to, oh God, what is it? To solve certain problems for them psychically. Um, yeah.
Have I been doing that? You mean I've been kind of like serving the enemy for these a while, or what? What exactly do you mean by that?
I This happened to me as well. You may not have knowingly done it in the backstage, or what I mean by the backstage, it's an alternate timeline where these people operate in, and where the barrier between the stage and the backstage are weakening because of the new energies that are coming in. But yeah, you may have come up with ideas for them, thinking that they were genuine or they had humanity's best interest at heart at some point, but in fact they don't. Like they want you, just like they want me back on script to be able to aid them in what they are doing because their whole system is collapsing at the moment. So yeah,
They're they're in
yeah,
desperation mode.
yes, extreme desperation mode.
Wow.
And uh, up your I don't see your face. Oh, there you
Sorry
are.
about that.
Okay. But yeah, yeah. It doesn't mean you did anything wrong
I
per
understand.
se.
Yeah.
But you actually actively think of an undercover agent who has actively suppressed certain things to stay under the radar, including memory. Uh, yes. Okay. Okay. Confirmation. Yes. And what was that, Isaac? Be delicate in what? Oh, okay. Um, Only go straight for certain factual information. Not okay. Got it. They're because I started to trail a little bit, so they're making sure I stayed centered. Okay, they do that to me periodically. So when I start to try to pick up on all the little nuances, they go off into everywhere. So what was the mission parameter exactly? That doesn't matter. What matters about it that that you are using your own vibration to get away from them, that you are no longer in this third D paradigm. You're in the what's known as the eye of the needle with the rest of us. You're between here's 3D and 4D is a corridor, and this is the eye of the basically the eye of the needle is right in here, this little corridor here, and then you have 5D over here. So yeah.
So I've got to trust my own innate abilities more. Is that maybe what you're saying?
Yes, yes. Yeah, I was trying to find the words to do it. When things are coming in quantum, it's hard to translate it, but into English. But yeah, that's exactly it. Your own instincts are telling you stay away from these people, but the coding, the artificial coding, um, is basically drawing you in. If you try to stay away, it draws it to you. It has been doing that. So
Yeah.
it's like a pendulum effect where you're here, like trying to go to them, they're here, and then it's like they get drawn back and forth like this.
Hmm.
So yeah.
Now, you mentioned earlier to separate myself from the idea that I'm being targeted, even though I really am being targeted. Am I understanding that correctly?
Yes, so what they mean by this is yeah, even though being targeted is a genuine thing, I have been as well. You separate yourself from that idea. If you are not basically always reaffirming that you're targeted, your vibration will drift out of the range of their crosshairs. Is
I,
what that is.
I, I, I read you loud and clear on that. I think I read you loud and clear on that.
Yeah, and I've had to do the same, where I'll start to read something online and I'll start to get back in and go, oh yeah, that happened to me too. They've targeted me on this and that, and I had to go, oh yeah, I have to step outside of that scripting and just go about improving the energy around me, improving everyone's life, including myself around me, doing all that inner work, but also at the same time doing what I came here to do, which is get rid of all these negative thought forms, programs, entities, and also creating these little devices with that I do with orgone and all this other stuff. So, and in that way, you're basically conditioning an area to be more either neutral or positively oriented.
Okay.
And yeah,
Now, Christopher, you may not have noticed, but I sent you a couple pictures that the audience cannot see.
okay. Let me. I saw those. Yeah. Okay. Yeah. I see two of JC and one. Who's the third one?
BB.
BB.
Yeah. So
Oof. He gives me the creeps actually, but oh, whew.
is he my guy? Is he the guy that's been is do behind this, or is it the human? I mean, I understand there's demonic entities or something that are really calling the shots.
Uh, yes, he is the human. It's like I told you last time, like the recruiter to drag people in to that circle, and it keeps switching over to A as well. It keeps switching this energy form keeps switching over to her as well. And yes, you were correct on the meeting or the meditation thing.
You just
Uh,
yeah, yeah.
yeah, yeah, you were.
I
Yeah.
told you about that, right?
Yes,
Okay, okay.
yes. You were correct on that. They're confirming you were correct in your suspicions.
Did she go this year?
Yes.
I bet her memory. She's either lying about it or her memory's been blocked or something.
This is another part of this programming. When this takes place, somebody can actually do something they're completely unaware of, like this the email you sent me ended up getting stuck in the trash of our email, and I didn't know it. And we knew to look there, and so one of us could have done it subconsciously, and we would never have known we did it. My mother actually channeled something the other day where she automatically stuck the paper in the shredder and didn't know why she did it, and she just saw it at the end of it going through the shredder. So
Wow.
yeah, yeah, and since it was something incredibly important, it she automatically started doing that. Didn't know why. And I believe this is the case with this. If you were to question her on it, the programming that is in her would automatically become hostile and go, what are you doing? Why are you talking about that? Would
Yeah.
automatically do that.
Right. I'm not. Yeah, and I'm not going to. I mean, I already have and everything, but yeah, no, I'm not. That's a done deal. The only last question I have about her would be just like, was she was brought into my life for this very purpose that we're talking about, right?
Exactly. Even though, like I said, she's a soulmate figure, you are on opposite ends of the chasm, basically, because that Rubik's cube that I explained to you before is being aligned in a different fashion. That you had to be on opposite ends of the spectrum. Maybe she had to go through a 3D learning experience some more, and you had to be up here somewhere. And
Hmm.
that's okay, confirmation. Yes, that's exactly what I'm getting. Where she had some other stuff to work out, and you're working this out with her is separating from her and moving on.
Right.
Moving
Okay. So that's what you're recommending, that I not only you, but you and the guides are recommending that I separate myself from her.
on. Yes,
Okay.
yes. That
Okay.
they said
Yeah.
it's a safety issue right there. Is
Yeah.
what they're
Yeah.
saying.
I agree. I really. I mean, I've tried to, and I've been successful for small amounts of time, but I need to really. I somehow have a knowing that I really need to accomplish that.
Okay, okay. Yeah, this let's see. I'm seeing where they're taking me now. Let's see. I'm going to check into this other person. You said her name was BB.
Yes.
Oh, there's something. Okay, my chest starts to tighten a little bit here, but not a lot. I gauge it like if my heart space starts to go, like that. Um, this person has pretty good shielding up, but there's something. Oh, I know what I was detecting. Programming. There's something there. Let's see. There's something on her. Is it the left side of her? Yeah, left side of the brain down. This may be a mimicking entity too. Let's see. Let's see. Ah, yes, you are. Hang on, I'll peel that off. Ugh. That was a mimicker, I call it. They mimic people's energy patterns. Um, they're quite obnoxious, actually. They mimic sounds, ghost like encounters in the middle of the night. They're stalking type entities. So this one was a small one though. This was a virtually inconsequential one though. This is a lot of people have some of these parasites. So it's hmm. There's something. Yeah, she's got something right here, like we did. Let's see. The soul is being okay. The soul is being caged somehow, but the soul still speaks. This is hard for me to translate. Okay, picture a light that is caged behind a like bars, but the light still shines through those. Um, yeah, this could be programming. This could be some kind of a attachment. Let me see here. This looks to be a device to me. I'm not picking up evil from this person. I'm not picking up any of that.
Okay, that's good.
But there is some kind of um, programming that is trying to get her to say the wrong thing, but she fights this. I feel, but I feel that she fights. It's like she fights to get words out. Um, let's see. Okay, I'm going to remove this cage. I have permission. Yes, yes. This is overage. Yes, yes. Okay, okay. Oh, that electrocuted my hands here. Hang on. Come on, let me have it. All right. All right. Ooh, what is that? Okay. Ooh. Oh yeah, there is a bunch of colored strings now in her energy that don't belong there, and has had contact with AI recently. Okay. Ooh. Okay, there we go. There we are. Okay, she's free of that. I didn't know what it was. It looked like a cube or like a tesseract type of cube that had bars through it, and it was trying to cage her heart space, but it was basically letting her speak truth, but it would revolve and deflect certain truths to make sure she couldn't speak certain things. Hmm.
Wow, fascinating.
Yeah. Yeah, it was a form of programming, but it wasn't, it was hostile. It had like an electrical field around it, but it wasn't completely sentient like the one I found in you. This was more of a basic device programming. Like if I programmed a computer or a phone or like an Echo or something like that to do something, it was like that.
Hmm.
Uh,
Hmm. There's this person. I didn't fall into this person's influence, but there, I told you that there was recently a person that I'd had in question, and questioning their advice and what they were telling me, and they had all this, stuff that was like right on, with what I had already been thinking, but I had probably also given them definitely too much information, and I just don't know if this. And this person could maybe be having some emotional issues, or maybe even a little bit mentally deranged, but that doesn't necessarily mean that they are not, are being deceitful with me. I just, I was really convinced, that this person was genuine, and then I became unconvinced of it. And then now I'm just wavering, and and it's somebody I have known for maybe 2 weeks.
Hmm. Yeah. Is this the same person? Is this his BB, or are we talking about a different
No,
person?
BB is associated with JC.
Okay. Yeah. This person is not evil. They're just servant is the wrong word. Restricted.
Right. All right.
Yeah. But this other person you're talking about, uh,
Moon. The name Moon is in their name. That a name they've adopted, like Moon, Rogue. Maybe first name starts with a P.
okay. Let's see.
Woman.
Okay, let's see. I'm looking at. Okay, I'm going to look at her. Let's see. Phew. Okay, I'm not getting overly heavy, but she is manipulated, though. I sense mental manipulation going on because I'm seeing a bit of programming in the head, but she believes she is giving you genuine information from her heart space.
That's good.
Uh,
That's at
yeah.
least good to know that she's not trying to deceive me. And she was also, let me mention that she was open about that she had some type of programming. In other words, she's apparently one of these people that had been through one of these programs. And I can't remember she even named the type of programming that she's had. And when the people have been through these programs and they get different types of programming, can it be said that they're ever truly free of all the programming?
It depends on what their life mission is. It depends
Okay.
on what they came in to do. It depends if they came in to experience that fully. Like, say you have a dark individual,
Mm-hmm.
like say JC, for instance.
Right.
That may be what that soul came in to experience. I've noticed certain souls at certain parts of their journey through different
Uh-huh.
lifetimes will try out these different forms to experience and learn from it. And if that's what that soul came in to experience, you're not ever going to be able to change that. So yeah, that's what I found out anyway.
Right. In other words, it's like, you almost can't put a cosmic right or cosmic wrong on it, because it has to do something that's like not even has to do with your situation. It has to do with their situation.
Yeah, exactly. It's where they are in their point of evolution. It's where they are in their experiences. And Joanna always has to remind me of this because I go off on a tangent and go, God, what is freaking wrong with these people? Sort of thing. And I have to get put back on track too. But I do the same thing. So
Yeah. I mean, the whole thing is almost, in some ways, I mean, some people might say it's a game. I wouldn't say that, but it's like a process almost, isn't it?
it's a process. It can be also be called a very sick game too, because it did go out of control. It started out, with souls wanting to experience, but then overage came into the picture and screwed. Pure darkness came into the picture and started screwing with everything. That process, but that process is still legitimate. It's just that you got to be able to tell and discern when true darkness has actually gone overboard and completely sent that being off of their life path. And then you can always get them to try to reset that. But there's like this invading darkness that came in that was separate from our learning curriculum and came through and invaded this expression and screwed up that system. So that's where discernment comes in. Whether it's that person's life path, the way you can do that is to get them to revoke, clear their energy, clear them out, clear their environment. Whatever is left is usually their life path.
Okay.
That's how usually you can tell.
I kind of got the parallel, metaphor or whatever. They're like, you jump in the sea to save somebody that's drowning, but you yourself could end up dying. You could drown trying to help somebody.
Yes, yeah, you could get sucked into that. It's very easily, a friend of ours named Aurora pointed this out too, where you could easily, trying to save someone that is embroiled in this, you could easily get sucked in through your consent of trying to help it. It's consent basically, and then that darkness will interpret that as you want this, and you get sucked into it.
Right.
You
I
know.
mean, you're coming closer to it, just by trying
Hmm.
to save the person. I can almost, see the logic in that.
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah, I've run into that many times. That's why I always tell people get away from toxic energies because they'll screw you up and suck you in at the same time. Just like toxic relationships, toxic energies. You have to break free of that. Then you'll see what your true purpose was.
Yeah. Well, like I was going to say, a lot of times this toxic energy is around to making the person toxic that you're around.
Hmm. Oh yeah, and even your own bright core energy can, if somebody is really bogged down with junk, it will affect them to the point where they're extremely hostile. And it will set off all the triggers because a high vibration is something that being cannot handle. Cannot be around. Just like a good example is there are some guides out there that I've encountered from different worlds where they'll show up with like a mask on, or they'll show up with like armor plating or something like that, and I'll ask them, or a spacesuit, and I'll ask them, why do you need this? They said your planet, energetically and chemically wise, and your density at this time is toxic to us. Nothing personal. It is toxic to us. We're wanting to create a dialogue, but we cannot risk that infecting ourselves and getting sucked into it.
So guides can be, catch the disease as well.
Oh yeah, most definitely. Other beings have been sucked into our incarnation cycle in very much the same way they were captured from somewhere, or they got sucked in an attempt to try to fix something, but then they got sucked in further down the rabbit hole over time, and some of their people have lost track of them over centuries and centuries. And then I eventually sometimes will run across some of these other people, and then me being on a similar vibration, I can see if they're from somewhere else, and then I try to reconnect them to their soul family. Like sometimes they'll get cut off from them having been here for so long. And I've run into that multiple times where there'll be like some programming threads running through them to block them from soul family influence and making people think they're on the right track when they're not. I've run into that. Once they're reconnected to that, their soul family guides will come in and go, hey, this is what you actually came in to do. You're still on that mission, but now you're back on track. And I've run into that multiple times, even with myself. I ran into that as well. But yeah, it can be a complicated web, a big cluster, with all these different species out there. And I even found out that some of those beings can't see into certain vibrations. People judge them as omnipotent, but they're the same as us. They're just in a different frequency level. They're the same exact as us. They just are older, and they have more experience.
Right. And so if you ascended to a really high vibration, you would practically be invisible to them.
Oh yeah, most definitely. They are pretty much invisible to anybody that is not seeing into that wavelength. People always call it invisible, but it's just a different dial on the radio. Is all it is. You're just going into a different frequency, different sound wave pitch. There are lower bandwidths, higher bandwidths, but there are also cheaters out there too that are negative, like some of these reptilian forms. They cheat and they use technology to transverse all these bandwidths, and they'll speak from a higher bandwidth, and people will think, oh, they're good because they're up here. That has absolutely nothing to do with good or evil, whether you're up here or not. I came to find out that it's basically your understanding changes of what good and evil are.
Right, and so not all ascended masters are good.
No, far from it, actually. I ran into beings that had ascended capabilities, but they were as evil as they got.
Oh, wow, yeah.
And just like there were these angelic beings that I ran across that were in these like church steeple looking edifices, and went in there, and they had the look of the old angelic, the forms, and they were of a different higher vibration. It's a higher vibration for them because okay, this is going to be complicated what I'm about to say, but what is joyful to you is differently for another. Like say they took joy in hurting other people, that would still bring that certain vibration up and basically brought them into a different bandwidth. Doesn't mean that they're positive. So
Right.
that it's very different.
They
Yeah.
can appear joyous. You just don't know what they're joyous about.
Yeah, exactly. Like I was wondering what they were happy and laughing. It's just because they were about to beat the crap out of me. That's what they were thinking. And these particular beings also run soul traps. I've seen the winged beings at the light at the end of the tunnel and stuff like that. Well, I bilocated into one of these church steeple looking places, and this was a thought form created to get people linked to a certain religion. So people would think, oh, this is the home of God and all this other stuff, and this is what these beings were doing. Well, I managed to, with Michael's help, I managed to go in there and just kind of wash through there and completely clear a couple of these places. But yeah, this proves to me that even if you're up here, doesn't mean you're positive. I've run into beings capable of quantum speak that were as evil as they got, too. So
Mm-hmm.
they just because they had the ability to speak and sense in quantum language does quantum light language or quantum language in general does not mean that they had the best interest of humanity at heart, or even a benevolent being that had their own agenda. I've noticed with some of these other aliens, they have their own agenda, but their agenda and ours don't always sync up.
Right. I mean, their agenda could, their agenda could even be quote unquote good, but it somehow necessitates killing you or getting you, something like that. I'm just guessing.
Yeah, or even they may even think a certain experiment running is positive and for the benefit of humanity. Some of the Agartha network is this way, where some of the people, the Hollow Earth people, were stunting some of our spiritual evolution because they wanted a certain path of weaning us off of certain religions. They felt it was for our highest good. What they didn't understand is we determine what's up for our highest good, not them.
Right.
Yeah. And yeah, that's we had arguments with them back and forth, and eventually some of their system collapsed because people up here were willing them to stop stunting us, even though it was out of a place of love, like a parent.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And so yeah, they basically let it drop at some of it after a while. But yeah, we got into a talk with them before we did a show on. It was called The Truth of These Ascended Masters, and we started talking about some of the Agartha network and some of these quote angelic beings and all of them. So
Now, we had spoken, and this may seem divergent, but I really feel it's on the same subject. We had spoken about these obelisks that you had, encountered like on the battlefield and stuff like this, or near these battlefield towns and stuff, and what was going on with some of these graveyards. Are these obelisks sometimes on ley lines or always on ley lines? And what is the deal with ley lines?
yeah, the soul trap, grounded soul traps are always on ley line intersections, I've noticed, or at least sometimes mathematically old ones, accounting for like continental drift, all that other stuff. Sometimes they're on like an old position when you find an old one that is breaking down. It was on one where it was in a different point in time, was on an intersection, but it drifted because the landmass drifted. But I've run into that multiple times. Just like I found out Stonehenge is off slightly on the grid as well because of continental drift. Uh, and that I'm getting the confirmation to that. But yeah, these obelisks, I always seem to find these in different grounded soul trap areas. Like I said, battlefields, graveyards, the ley
Churches.
line. Yeah, churches. Yes, always churches. I've run into always temple churches, historic sites, all of them, and they're in places you least suspect. Sometimes there's some underground that are so old we don't know about them, and we'll walk over them not knowing about it. And there's some archon being in there going, "Hey, I'm taking your energy," and that's how that goes. Well, the ley line, and this is going to be really strange, but the ley lines, as we know them, are not completely legitimate from what I found out. There is a set of chakra points around the earth that are legitimate ley line intersections, but the majority of these ley lines. I shouldn't say the majority, probably half of them are not real. They were actually magnetic connections between soul trap areas and energy collectors.
Okay, so are they? In other words, would artificial be a good term?
Yes, they're extremely artificial. Yes,
So
yes.
they exist, but they're not a part of the natural Earth's system.
No, they're far from it. They're part of an AI network that's keeping this soul trap network together.
I cannot believe the synchronicity, and I've been studying this guy Tim Refat, who's really hot right now, and he's in all this psi stuff and explaining the science behind psychic phenomena and stuff like that. And it turns out, and of course different physicists or something might put it in different terminology, but he's calling it complex number space. But he's saying that this is a system that the Catholic Church has had and used to dominate the earth for a long time, but now they've somehow lost control of it.
Yeah, because the humans thought they could control something that was beyond their capability of controlling, and it controlled them. It was actually controlling them the entire time. And these energy collectors are on ancient sites as well. I found out in the city of Troy, ancient city of Troy, there's one from a long time ago. And I found out that's why the original archaeologist that found it dynamited all the way to the bottom, and he didn't understand why. It goes back to that programming thing again, where he was opening up a hatch for this energy collector to see the sunlight again, because they require sun and star patterns to power them, along with energy, human core energy.
Wow. So this is an old story, isn't it, about these energy collectors and psychotonic generators and stuff built into churches and stuff. Yeah.
Oh yeah, in every cathedral that I've ever seen, every church, almost every church. Some of the small ones are exempt from it, like the neighborhood ones and stuff like that are usually exempt from it. But they're also under schools. I found out too. There's certain colleges that are under, like Yale, Harvard, all of them. Where a lot of the skull and bones stuff went on. There are energy collectors under them as well.
Sure, that makes sense.
Yeah, and they're under. Yeah, I didn't even account for schools, and that's something I originally I didn't put into account for these. But I found them under them as well. But yeah, there are legitimate chakra points that I call them on the earth that are like sacred areas, legitimately sacred.
Well, can you name one, or is that a secret?
I believe there was, ironically enough, there was this graveyard me and Joanna went to. I cannot remember the name of it. It was in North Carolina. That there was an actual legitimate chakra point that was being encased by a soul trap to try to keep it from connecting to the rest of the legitimate Earth network. And it was encased in a graveyard that was being surrounded by obelisks and all sorts of barriers that were up. And when Joanna and I went through there and we declared it neutral, we went in there and cleared it, we were able to clear that chakra point. We did not know there was one there. It was being masked by the soul trap. We encountered a friend of ours who lives in Georgia that said she felt recently that there was a chakra point in North Carolina around Raleigh that had been freed of some kind of negative AI influence. She did not know we went to that graveyard. It was within that area.
She was referring the very one that y'all went to.
Yeah, she felt that shift because she was attuned to the real Earth network, and she felt that one being freed. She didn't know we had done anything.
Wow, that's amazing.
Yeah,
that's amazing. And y'all physically traveled there.
Yeah. Joanna used to live in Knightdale, North Carolina, and she worked in Raleigh as a nurse. So we were able to go like on lunch breaks and go on weekends and go into those different areas. And we discovered that graveyard. That's when I first really started taking a second look at some of these soul trap type of situations. And then recently discovering why ghosts were placed there, because they were being put on display for these different entities that were coming into the graveyards. And that sickened me when I found that out.
Why would they want to put them on display?
This is a very hard concept for people to get because it's so horrible. It is what happens is, think of a store with a window where it's basically window dressing or window shopping. There are not only these harvester AIs that take soul energy and these Draco and stuff that take soul energy by going into, think of like a refrigerator. You're grabbing your different items out of the refrigerator to make lunch or dinner or what have you. That's what they're doing. There are other aliens out there that actually steal ghosts from battlefields, steal ghosts of different kinds from these graveyards. Like if they need an archivist, for instance, or they need a bookkeeper, or they need a soldier, or they
Are
need a
they
warrior of some sort.
are
Yeah.
they being auctioned off somehow on a cosmic soul auction or?
Yes, yeah, that's a very good way of putting it. There are these different races that are in these different dimensions that say, "Oh, I need some more soldiers for my incarnation cycle over here. We're losing this. We need more soldiers. We'll go to Gettysburg and grab 2 dozen of them, and say, okay, we'll just give the ruling class something in return for them. Here, we're trading you something. We're going to take these ghosts for our usage." And that's how that goes.
And so those ghosts, they then take those ghosts and then make them incarnate. As far as like they'd either put them as a walk-in or they would make them be born into a baby.
Yeah, both. They would use them either as a walk-in in their own incarnation cycles. Like if they needed training in a certain fighting technique, and say there was a ghost of, like, say, a samurai, for instance, that was in a holy place, they could grab that person because he's already knowledgeable in a certain fighting style, and they would incorporate that as either as a walk-in, or they would allow a baby to be born and actually remember that knowledge, so that fighting style was always now incorporated into their incarnation cycle. And you find that more often than you think. It's actually pretty disgusting.
Wow. So like the soul becomes like melded into the other one. It becomes a joint soul, or it kicks out the other soul. How does that work?
Their soul just becomes incorporated into that particular bit of soul farming. You see, the Anunnaki set up a lot of soul farms. What these species don't understand is they're participating in a very old system that they don't even know about. And so, yeah, it doesn't kick the other soul out. It just gets incorporated into that cycle. And so that's why sometimes you have uh, people that say they've had past lives on different planets, that more than likely has happened that way, where their ghost was plucked from somewhere else and they bounced around the incarnation cycles of different planets. That's how that happens. Some of these practices have been going on a very, very long time. I was in California recently with Joanna and our friend Viking, and we stopped at this cemetery. I put the video up to this. I brought a little device with me, and it was like this. It was called Green Valley Cemetery, and I knew, Viking, he's just as psychic as me, and he said, you might want to stop here. There's something not right here. So we went into this cemetery, and I turned out, something kept messing with my device. I kept having to flip the thing on and off all the time because it kept freezing on me. It was an Obelisk 3. It shows the word database of, what, if you ask a question, it shows up with different words in the word database. And I went in there into the middle of this cemetery, and I could feel like this pull downward. And I knew there was a soul trap nearby, but I corroborated with the device to see what would use the device. And I was getting question and answer back by not only a reptilian guard that was in that cemetery that was interacting with the device, that was basically laughing at me, that basically was posing itself as an angelic form, but there were ghosts also lined up along the headstones, like I'd seen in other ones, like window dressing, like posing. And I'd seen that. I'm thinking, no, I'm fixing this while I'm here. This isn't going to happen. Well, I started asking more questions, and you'll see on the recording where I was getting direct answers. Like there was an AI present. Basically, they were saying like sunlight in two separate words, which meant like sun sphere, guarding the place, AI form, stuff like that. And I had that basically confirmed. And you can actually feel the energetics of the assailant that was talking to me through the device. And it was actually, I've never gotten that many hits back and forth of direct answers like that from both an AI and a reptilian form. I purged the place before I left, but I wanted to make sure people understood what those sites actually were.
Right. When you were talking about this window dressing, what it made me think of, which is, just equally as reprehensible as we know that in Amsterdam, not only is it legal to I guess maybe smoke pot or whatever. If it's maybe regulated by the government, but it's also prostitution. I believe is illegal. I mean, excuse me, is legal and regulated by the government somehow. But we're told, and I've never been to Amsterdam, but we're told that the young ladies will be standing in the windows.
Yeah, it's very similar. Think of that when you go into a cemetery, but also think of like food that has like an expiration date on it. That's why the gravestones have dates and times on them. Basically, they're telling these galactic entrepreneurs, let's say, that okay, this ghost is aged this long, kind of like a wine or a brandy. This ghost is aged this long, this ghost is aged this long, and I came to find that out.